Good day. In this video, we are going to learn how to use VOSviewer. But before we do that, we're just gonna go through a brief background that will help us to understand better how to use VOSviewer. VOSviewer is a software tool that is used to perform bibliometric analysis. I will explain in the next slide what we mean by bibliometric analysis. VOSviewer does bibliometric analysis by creating maps that are based on different data types, such as network data, and it can also be used to visualize and explore these maps. Uh, Bibliometrics can be explained as the study of quantitative aspects of the production, dissemination, and use of recorded information, meaning that we make use of quantitative methods to quantitatively analyze the numeric aspects of the published papers, how they're being used, for example, how many times a certain paper has been cited. Another similar explanation of bibliometrics is given by Heroben as a quantitative analysis of publications for the purpose of ascertaining specific kind of phenomenon. Based on these two definitions, we can simply define bibliometric as quantitative study of all kinds of bibliographic data. Bibliographic data is a metadata about publications and their citing publications, such as publication year, title, abstract, keywords, document type, authors of the published paper. And these data can be extracted from different databases, such as Web of Science and Scopus. Uh, the reason why we do a bibliometric analysis is to get an overview of the structure of the scientific literature in a certain domain or certain research field. Or we can simply understand that as doing the literature review. So the application of bibliometric analysis include but not limited to mapping and visualizing scientific fields, measuring and evaluating research performance, um, as well as decomposing scientific literature into specific subdisciplinary structures. And also, it can be done to understand the structural, temporal, and dynamic development of a certain discipline. So why use VOSviewer? Because there are a number of tools that can be used to do bibliometric analysis. VOSviewer supports popular databases such as Web of Science, Corpus, Dimensions, and PubMed, and it also uses powerful natural language processing techniques, mapping and clustering algorithms. There are also powerful visualizations in VOSviewer. Zoom, scroll, and search functionalities are really advanced in VOSviewer, and there's also smart label placement algorithms, and there are about or more than 100 review publications that have used VOSviewer. If I can open VOSviewer for us to explore, I would like us to go through these 3 terms that will make it easier to follow through. Items. Like I said, we use VOSviewer to create the maps. So in the map, we have objects of interest, which are referred to as items, and they are linked together by links or lines. So object of interest, for example, if our map is about the collaboration among the countries, the name of the countries will be our object of interest and they will be referred as items. And the lines that shows collaborations between the countries will be our links. So the link show the relation between the two items. So the strength of the link may indicate various meaning or may have various meaning in depending on the type of the map. So if we are doing the co-authorship analysis, the number of publications two researchers have co-authored will determine the strength of the link in that map. For example, if we use co-occurrence analysis or we do co-occurrence analysis, the number of publications in which two terms occur together will determine the strength of the links between two terms. So at this point, I will close the slides, and I will open our VOSviewer so that we can see how we can create our maps. So first, let's go through the 5 panels or the interface of the VOSviewer. So we have the main panel. The main panel is the middle one that shows our map, and there are 3 visualizations: network visualization, overlay visualization, as well as density visualizations. I'll focus more on network visualization. Then on the right here, we have our options panel. It has a list of options that we can make use of to adjust the visualizations of our currently active map. So here we have the scale. As you slide this to the left, the map becomes smaller, and this slide to the right bigger. And here we have the weights, which determines the importance or the value of the items or the objects we have in the map. So here the value of our items, which are the countries, is based on the number of documents a country has published. But you can choose other ways if need to be. Then we have labels. We can change the size of the label here, make them big or smaller. And we can also change the shape of our items from circle to frames. I prefer circles. And here the maximum length is the length of the the the, um, the label. So by default, it gives fat characters. You can decrease that or increase it as you want. And here's the font type. You can choose your font type. And below here, we have adjustments that we can do on our lines. Here is the size of the line. The minimum strength a line should have to be included in the map. If it's 0, to include all the, the, the lines. If increased it, less lines to be displayed. And the maximum number of lines is 1,000. That by default you can decrease or increase that as needed. And you can also choose to give your lines or your links colors, or leave them gray, all of them. Or you can set also to have them as curved or straight lines. And the colors of the clusters, the groups here, you can decide to use the one that comes by default to VOSviewer, or you can define your own. And you can also decide to make your background black or leave it as white. So that's the options panel. And we also have the third panel, which is the information panel. It shows it gives the descriptions of the map that is currently displayed on our main panel. For example, it shows that our map has 42 items, 16 clusters, 246 links, and the 551 total link strength. And if you choose a specific item, it will give description of that specific item, not the entire map. And we move to overview panel. This simply provides the overview of your map, the current map, the currently displayed map. And then we have our fifth and last panel, which is action panel. It has 3 tabs. So this panel is the one that allows us to do different kinds of actions, including creating the maps. So under the file tab, we can see that we can create our map, open it if we have it created and saved already, or save it. You can also take the screenshot of our map. There are different options under the screenshot, and you can also access the manual from here, or just have a brief view of about the VOSviewer. So I will show you how to create a map. You click on the create button, then the create map wizard will pop up. You choose the type of data you're going to use to create a map. Like I mentioned, there are different types of data we can use: network data, bibliographic data, or text data. So in our case, we're going to use bibliographic data. I've already downloaded bibliographic data from Web of Science. So we'll go for the second option. Next, then we choose the source. So our source is a bibliographic database file. So these are the types of files supported. Is a Web of Science file, Scopus file, dimension file, and PubMed file. So we'll go for that one. But if your data or your file is from the reference manager such as EndNote, you go for these options. And if you're going to download data as you create your map from the, for example, Microsoft Academic using API, then you go for these options. So the right option for us is the first one. I have that selected. Since I said I retrieved my data from Web of Science, I'll choose Web of Science, not Scopus or dimensions. So you can browse to the location where you have your file. This is my file. Then select it. We go to the next step. However, now you choose the type of analysis that you want to do. So it's important to understand all this analysis so you can know which one to use. So if you go for co-authorship, it's all about collaboration. For example, you can see that co-authorship can be co-authorship of authors, organizations, or countries. So this one, the relatedness of the items in your map will be based on the number of co-authored documents. And we also have co-occurrence analysis. In this case, the relatedness of the items will be based on the number of documents in which they appear together. For example, the keywords, if certain keywords appear together, they will be linked in the map. Then we have citation analysis. You can see that you can do citation analysis of document source, authors, organizations, or countries. So in this analysis, your map, the relatedness of items in your map will be based on the number of times they cite each other. For example, the number of times authors cite each other, number of times countries cite each other. And then we have bibliographic coupling, which can be done based on document source, authors, countries, and organizations. In this case, your map, the relatedness of items in your map will be based on the number of references they share. Co-citation, the relatedness of items in your map will be based on the number of times they are cited together. So you choose the analysis that will meet your needs. So once the analysis has been chosen, in this case, we're going to choose co-authorship of countries. So we're going to uh, see the collaboration among the countries. And I will also mention that file I downloaded is about the prediction of infectious disease. So we are going to we're trying to create a map that shows the collaboration among the countries when it comes to the prediction of infectious disease. So once you have selected the analysis, and also you can just put your cursor here next time just to go through the definition again and make a correct choice of the analysis. Then we have a counting method. By default is full counting. Regardless of the counting method you choose, your map will always look the same, except that the difference will be in the strength of the links. It's calculated differently based on the counting method. So here you can also change this number. You indicate the number of countries. Ignore the documents co-authored by a large number of countries. You can say papers with 25 or more countries should be ignored. Then you can go next, and here you can choose the threshold. For example, you can say only countries with a minimum number of 5 documents should be included in a map, or you can decrease that, increase it as you wish. And you can also change this number here as well. So I'll keep it 3, this one, for example, maybe 4. Then next here, by default, it has chosen all 34 countries to have the greatest total link strength. You can change number as well, but you can only decrease it. Then here we have our last step, which shows our items, which are the countries, the number of documents each country has published in that research field, the citations, and the total link strength. For example, you can see that USA has the highest number of publications, 118 of them, and it has 5,236 citations, 161 total link strength. And we can see that countries like England, Switzerland, Kenya, France, South Africa, they're the most productive countries when it comes to prediction of infectious disease. And then we have People Republic of China, Ethiopia, and Canada among the least productive countries when it comes to the prediction of infectious disease in Africa. I forgot to mention that is in the context of Africa. Then you can click finish here, and your map will be created. So once your map is created, you can really interpret it based on the size of the items. So the bigger the circle, the in this case the higher the number of publications the country has. So in any map, the bigger the size, the more important the item is, and that has to be interpreted in the context of the analysis being done, or on the kind of the weight that is being used to measure the importance of the items. And we can see that our items are clustered into 15 groups or 15 clusters. So the items that have high strength of relatedness are put in the same cluster. For example, you can see that Canada, Belgium, Burkina Faso, and France are given in the same cluster, the red cluster. Can always zoom in or out here to allow a proper view of the map. Then I will, and also before I move to the next tab under the action panel, which is items, it's important to see that the countries with small circles indicates that they are least protective in the publications in the field of prediction of infectious disease. So let's move to the items here. So as you click, all your FED4 items will be listed. If this option is checked, they will be listed per clusters, but if it's unchecked, they'll be listed in alphabetical order. And once you click on double click on one of the items there, it will be zoomed in and shown prominently on the map here. You can always go back to the original size by clicking there. Then let's move to analysis. So under the analysis tab, that's where you can update the layout and the clustering. So we have normalization here, and here's a list of normalization methods that are used uh, uh, to normalize the strength of the links between the items. You can choose any here. You can go through the manual and you will decide which one is appropriate for your analysis. By default, is association, and you are not recommended to use no normalization to go for this option. And always use the default values here. But if you want to change, you can go further and change, then click here to update the changes you have made in terms of the layout. Then when it comes to clustering, the resolutions specify the levels of details when it comes to clustering. So this number is always positive. By default is 1. And if you increase it, you can expect the number of clusters to be higher. And if it's less, the number of clusters will be less as well. And here you can specify the minimum number of elements in the cluster. For example, you can say the cluster should have a minimum of 2 items. You can go for advanced parameters if you wish to, then you can update that. You can see that our number was decreased from 3 to 1. Now we have less clusters. It was 16 to 6 now. And here just about enhancing the view of your map. You can specify the degree of rotation. This is where you click to rotate your map. You can flip it horizontal or vertically. We have gone through all the 5 panels, and I think at this point we can be able to create our maps. Once your map has been created, you can always save it or take the screenshot of your map. So if you save it, it will definitely take you to allow you to browse to the location where you want to save it. I'm not going to save this one here. Um, thank you.